Hello. So it's time for me to talk more about the Game Jam, a lot of the interesting games that I came across during this Game Jam, entries, winners, other things like that. But by the time that you end up seeing this is most likely when all of that stuff is fully finished. This reason is because I am also a judge, a part of the board of judges for this Game Jam. I'm going to freeball this entire thing. So whoa. Wait, that was terrible wording. I'm so sorry. I'm just going to speak freely. Let's just say it that way. I'm going to speak freely. So let's start off with the S&box Game Jam theme, which is replicate. And the description that is on the Game Jam site is to make a copy of, reproduce, or to repeat. I did live stream this over 3 hours long on both Twitch and YouTube, which of course, if you want to follow Twitch, here you go. But best part is that it is as a VOD on YouTube, which you can see right here. Right there. So you don't have to worry about it. And there was a ton of funny moments just like this. Now, there was a variety of game styles like stealth games, heist games, bullet hell, rhythm, roguelike games. I don't know if that's the right description for this game or not. I'm pretty sure it probably isn't, but it's awesome. That's all you have to know. There has been a total of 78 submissions that were put into this jam, some good and some that had issues on launch. Let's start off with some interesting games to talk about. And the first one I have to mention is Do Not Duplicate Yourself. This was a hysterically funny game in a really great way. And you have to check out some of these clips.
Oh my God. Oh, you went through it?
Yes.
It's 4:52 on a Friday.
These type of limb games where you have to move from one location to another location and have to press each key to then move each limb. Basically games like Getting Over It, which are incredibly well known. These type of games are so much fun to play and they are incredibly frustrating. But the game's premise is basically you go inside of a duplicator, you get turned into a human cat dog, and then you have some guy yelling at you saying, "Why did you go in there?" After that happens, then you have to kind of worry a bit because now you're a human cat dog and you have to find a way to get across the areas that are presented to you. But that's the fun part. I can't even see in front of me. No. You have to be kidding me. I'm already seeing there's an obstacle, dude. This game was, again, so good. I had so much fun with it, and it's definitely something I was not expecting because I know a ton of people in my chat at the time were telling me you have to try this out. So I was like, all right, fine, I'll try it out. Gave it a shot, and this game is it's so much fun. I definitely could see either people trying it to see if they can fully complete it without dying once, or even better, people that would end up speed running this type of stuff, because I used to watch those type of videos and it's insane. So I would hope that at some point somebody decides to go and do a speed run on this game because it's worth it. Another game I wanted to mention when it comes to this sort of limb gameplay is called Get Bent. I wanted to mention this game because obviously I didn't play this one on stream, but I did play it off stream, and I had to record it because the presentation was really just well done. And in terms of what was shown and telling you how to play the game, it did feel a little bit complicated, but overall, when it comes to just playing the game, it's fairly simple. It reminds me more of Wipeout, or for all my very well-cultured people that watched Spike TV when they were younger, MXC, the best sort of Japanese game show ever. But this game was really cool, and the entire sort of undertones is very, hey, you gotta breed and do things. And I'm like, okay, that's a little weird. But it was so much fun to be able to play this game because you have to move limbs in a certain way and make sure that you're able to go in that direction. And it's a little bit challenging, but most of the controls were pretty much 3 keys each on the keyboard, which is in itself is a challenge. Like, I'm doing it right now. The game is so cool, and I had to mention that as like an honorary mention because I could not let this game up. I was like super into it and just trying to see how far I could really get alongside with just the timing and making sure that my little person was like in the right way and doing other things. And at the same time, I think it was just funny to see that my character could kind of do a little twerk motion. So I have to say, overall, with the theme of the Game Jam and the types of games that were submitted to this Game Jam, it was very interesting to see how people would utilize that theme for their game, including CloneM, which was one of the games that was suggested to me before I ended my stream, which is pretty much essentially kind of a mix of Astrobots and Portal smashed together, right? You have these these really cute robots, which I'm sure if they're designed by Shadowbrain, absolutely beautiful bots here. These are the cutest little bots that you can see on your screen and very Astrobot-like, but it's super cool because the entire point of the game is you're able to replicate certain obstacles to maneuver around the map, as each map is essentially a puzzle for you to solve, just like Portal, except without portals, you just have replication tools. And it was really cool. I think this was another game that I wanted to showcase and talk more about because in terms of like personality and style, a lot of people always talk about S&box saying, well, when it comes to using the Source 2 engine and then removing everything from it, there is no style. I hate to bring that up, but the best part about this and why these game jams to me are a really great showcase for S&box is, again, S&box itself is a game engine. You are able to replicate these certain type of looks or themes or aesthetics, whatever it might be. It is possible. But overall, it's supposed to be a blank canvas for you to utilize to create whatever style of game you want. If it's 2D, if it's pixelated, if it's super realistic, if it's kind of cutesy and weird and other things like that, you can do all sorts of things. And I feel like a game like CloneM is a prime example of a game where you can utilize S&box's editor and be able to create things that you would think, well, I didn't even know that this is on the Source 2 engine, because it just doesn't look like it. And that's the entire point. It's a game engine. Now, there was many other different games that I took out the time to play that I thought were really cool, like Projured, which was a stealth game. I did play this one on live stream and I was struggling a little bit because I decided, you know, I played Splinter Cell and Dishonored. I played all these different type of stealth games. I shouldn't really have a problem, but I was getting absolutely cooked. Oh, let's see if I can lure this guy out.
I spotted him.
I spotted him.
Right there.
Yeah, this is game over. I'm dead. Dog. And it made sense since I didn't play the tutorial. So I decided to go through that because my chat was yelling at me to just play the tutorial. I would have to say, in terms of it being a stealth game, there is many things that I mentioned that have to be fixed. And of course, those devs have taken that into mind. But in terms of what is presented as like a stealth game with the style and things like that, with more things that still need to be worked on, because obviously for a game jam, there's only so much time you have to make a game. I still think a game like this was really fun to get into. And I love stealth games. I played, I think it's Gloomwood. I'm pretty sure that is the name of the game. Hold on. Yes, Gloomwood. I played Gloomwood, which I absolutely love that style of game. It reminds me kind of like of the OG Thief, but I have to feel like, of course, it still needs a little bit of work. And essentially with these games that I'm mentioning on the Game Jam, a lot of developers do take out the time to kind of consistently keep working on their games after the Game Jam's done, because some of these games are really good. And I hope some of these developers take out the time to kind of further it on S&box. Now, I have to mention this game because I feel like if there's one so far that went out of their way in terms of presentation, in my opinion, it has to be the Duplex Shift. Now, I had people in my chat tell me more about this game and I decided to go and check it out. This game and its presentation is just phenomenal. What?
Welcome to the Duplex Corporation Automated Application Procedure. We are glad to have you here. Before you can work for us, please sign the standard employment contract form.
What?
Congratulations, you are hired. Congratulations, your shift begins.
We're talking more about how they had spent so much time just, you know, getting the introduction and everything right. Between the presentation and also what you do in the game, these things are very important. But it was so cool because it felt very original and it felt very kind of like quirky and in its own sort of style, right? Overall, just something that feels completely different from the rest. And the entire point of this game was you get hired to go and figure out the difference between an original and a duplicate and making sure that they're essentially essentially the same, but you have to also make sure to completely reject any sort of weird anomalies or anything like that. So most of this stuff has been pretty fun. I noticed that I kind of messed up because, of course, I'm on a 15-minute time limit for each game, which I forgot to mention that, by the way. When it comes to a game, especially a lot of indie games, the best part about it is not only just the gameplay, but also what can you provide that feels like it's different from the rest, right? You have games like Lethal Company and Repo, and I know these are kind of like all different multiplayer co-op games. We have Balatro. I'm trying to think of some other ones off the top of my head right now. I know there's Peak that people have been mentioning to me. Peak is another game. At least some sort of personality to the game, and it's really nice to see that this is one of those games. So I really do hope that these devs continue to kind of go forward with the game, at least for, you know, another couple of updates, because it's great. It's really good. It's probably one of my favorite games that I played in the Game Jam. Now, speaking of creativity, I think one of the best things that comes from this is that you have different types of perspectives on a certain theme or topic, right? Which I gave to you, for example, a good slew of the games I just mentioned, like the past couple of minutes. Each one is trying to do the same thing, which again is to replicate, to duplicate, to repeat, to fit the theme of the game. But also, how do you incorporate something like that within the gameplay? Repeat Offender was another game that I thought was very interesting. It's a top-down heist game. Now, the entire point of the game is that you have 3 clones, and within these 3 clones that you can utilize, you're able to fast forward or rewind exactly where it was that you went previously. And this allows you to kind of progress through the map, but as limited as it is, that's the entire point. You're very limited with the amount of clones you can use because, as it mentions in the game, the technology you have is kind of a prototype. So you're only so far limited in terms of what you can actually do. Especially with that, it can be a little challenging because you're always trying your absolute best to see what can I utilize right now that could be perfect for me, that my clone can step in and just do all that extra work, and then I could just kind of blare through this vault. And that's the entire point. Now, I did get close at one point, which was a little bit rough because I ended up messing it up, and that probably would have been amazing. It was so cool. I think a lot of these games, and there was a couple of them that had the same style where it would record your character's movement to a place and you'd have to then go back again, as it would force you to rewind, or unless you press the rewind button. And from there, you'd have to figure out, how do I progress? Because a clone of me that has already taken the steps beforehand is repeating it again to then open the next door that I need to go to, or the next area that I need to focus on. Again, there were so many cool games like GE Gnome, which you had repairing data and pattern recognition, to getting more research points and then assisting you with getting perks to help you find more irregularities quickly, and all these other different things that were going on with the game, to Repeat Track, which felt like a mix of a bullet hell game and a roguelike, almost mixed in with a rhythm game at some points too, which it's not exactly, but still, it just kind of felt like that way with me. And it was really cool to be able to play that game too. And there were so many other little games that caught my eye in terms of gameplay and styles that I obviously am presenting on the screen. But this is kind of the gist of what I experienced for the Game Jam. Either way, I'm just super stoked and super happy to be a part of this, and hopefully we do get more of these Game Jams down the line. Either way, enough of my rambling. If you do enjoy S&box and you'd like to know more, feel free to click on this video right here on screen, and I will see you guys in the next video.